Hi guys! I'm on the lookout for some brave, curious and silly explorers to join me on an adventure. Well, let's put it this way. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to bounce along inside a giant bubble? How about a hike in a tropical jungle? Or what goes on in a top secret superhero lair?
Watch out for flying octopus!
Is this a yes? I'm Connie, Chief Adventurer at Armchair Adventures, a super fun and a little bit bonkers podcast for kids aged 6 to 10. Each episode is a brand new adventure, and you're invited. What makes it super special is that I've jam-packed it full of sing and move-along fun. You can listen wherever you get your podcasts. Where will your next armchair adventure take you?
Hello, friends from across the nation and around the world. I'm Martin, and you are listening to Dad's Bedtime Stories. Tonight, we're going to do something I like to do every now and then, an episode of Bedtime Story Time, where I take a random one of your ideas, storyboard it, and then put it in Chat GPT to see if it can come up with something. Most of my stories are completely made up by me, but bedtime storytime episodes generally are not. Today we started with an idea from Lillian, who wrote in using the Google form. Lillian has suggested a story about a pizza witch that goes on adventures with its cat and loves pizza. I decided that particular witch would be named Lillian, because why not? I hope that's okay with you, Lillian. I also came up with the general premise of some trial chambers, pizza that gives Lillian powers, and some other fun details in the story, including having it written as a literary RPG story, which is basically kind of like a story that exists a bit in a video game, if that makes any sense, with level ups and that sort of thing. But I let ChatGPT do the rest in this case, so let's see what it came up with. This will actually be the first time I'm reading it too. If you're listening to this, I probably decided it was good enough to go. So, it's time to close your eyes, get as comfy as you can in that bed, and imagine yourself doing what the kid in the story does. Lillian's 10th birthday began the way most birthdays did, with a cake that leaned slightly to the left, a candle that refused to light on the first try, and her mother saying, "Make a wish," in the careful voice people used around important things. Lillian squeezed her eyes shut. She did not wish for a pony. She did not wish for a mountain of toys or a lifetime supply of candy. She wished for magic. Not the, "Wow, that's an amazing card trick" kind of magic, or the, "I found a 4-leaf clover and now I'm confident in math" kind of magic. She wished for the kind of magic that came with rules and power and a proper glow. When she opened her eyes, the candle was still there, smoldering and offended because it had finally lit and immediately been ignored. She blew out the candle, her dad cut the cake, her mom smiled a lot, and Lillian's stomach did that little flip it always did when she thought about the town square. Because everyone knew what happened on a kid's 10th birthday. You got cake, you got hugs, and then, if your town had a trial chamber, and Lillian's town did, you went to the square and tried to become something more than you were yesterday. She ate her slice of cake anyways. She wasn't reckless. Outside, the late morning air had the bite of early autumn. Leaves scuttled along the road like they were late to something important. The town itself looked like it was pretending to be normal. Shops open, people chatting, a dog barking at a fence like it owed him money. But there was a quiet current underneath it all, like the whole place was holding its breath. The trial chamber entrance sat at the center of the square. It had always been there. It was a stone archway, taller than any grown-up, carved with symbols that looked like someone had tried to write in lightning. The inside of the arch was never empty. It wasn't a doorway to another street. It was a doorway to elsewhere. No one could explain it properly, not the teachers, not the mayor, not even old Mr. Pindle, who claimed he once saw a dragon sneeze. The only thing everyone agreed on was this: the chamber changed to match the person entering. Some kids came out braver, some kids came out calmer. Some came out with abilities that made their parents nervous in a way they tried to disguise as pride. And some kids came out with nothing obvious at all, though people always said the chamber never truly gave nothing. It just gave what fit. Lillian stood at the edge of the square with her parents, her hands tucked into the sleeves of her jacket so she wouldn't fidget too much. She looked like an ordinary kid, because she was an ordinary kid, for now. A small group of 10-year-olds waited in a loose line near the archway. Some tried to look brave and failed. Some tried to look like they didn't care and failed in a more dramatic way. And one kid was just eating a muffin. The town's chamber guide, Ms. Laurie, who smelled faintly of peppermint and paperwork, stood near the arch holding a clipboard like it was a shield. "Remember," Miss Laurie said for the 100th time in a row, "the chamber isn't a test to punish you. It's a trial to reveal you." A kid in line whispered, "That sounds like a punishment with extra steps." Ms. Laurie smiled as if she hadn't heard him, but she absolutely had. Lillian took a breath and stepped forward. Her mum squeezed her shoulder. Her dad knelt slightly, meeting her eyes, trying to put a whole speech into one look. Be you, he said. Lillian nodded. "I was planning on it." And if you see anything dangerous," her mom added, "you just run away, okay?" Lillian nodded again because that was what a kid did when a parent said something terrifying in a calm voice. Then she turned toward the arch, and the cat appeared. It came out of nowhere the way it always did. One moment the space beside the fountain was empty, and the next there was a scruffy gray cat sitting there as if it had been part of the town decorations the entire time. It wasn't anyone's pet, at least that's what people said, but Lillian knew better. When she was 5, she'd found it in the woods behind her house, all ribs and caution and burrs stuck to its fur. It had watched her from behind a fallen log with eyes like wet stones. Lillian had been the kind of kid who wouldn't walk away from that. She'd started bringing it food, little bits at first, crusts, cheese, whatever she could sneak out without her mom noticing. Sometimes the cat came, sometimes it didn't. But each time it did, it sat at a careful distance and ate like it didn't trust the universe not to change its mind. Lillian had talked to it anyways. She told it secrets, she told it about school, she told it about how she was pretty sure she was supposed to be magical because she thought about magic so much it just felt like she couldn't possibly be anything else. Over time, the cat had moved closer. By the time she was 9, it appeared at her window during thunderstorms and stared in like it was checking just to make sure she was okay. And last night, her birthday eve, it had sat at the foot of her bed as if it owned the concept of guardianship. Now, it sat by the fountain, watching her like it was watching the start of a story it already knew the ending to. Lillian approached cautiously. "You came," she whispered. The cat just blinked. It stood, stretched like it had all the time in the world, and walked toward the chamber arch as if it belonged in the line. A couple of adults murmured. Ms. Laurie glanced at her clipboard, then at the cat, then at Lillian. "The chamber allows companions sometimes," Ms. Laurie said, as if it had always been known. "If they're relevant." Lillian opened her mouth to argue that the cat was absolutely relevant, thank you very much, but the cat had already stepped under the archway's shadow. It paused and looked back at her, not like a pet waiting for permission, like a bouncer waiting for the guest of honor. Lillian swallowed, and then she walked forward. The stone under the arch felt colder than the autumn air. The symbols carved into it seemed to shimmer when she wasn't looking directly at them, which was unfair and kind of rude. Lillian stepped into the doorway. The world tilted, not physically, but in that way your stomach sometimes tilts on the first drop of a roller coaster, and everything went dark. For a single heartbeat, Lillian felt like she was nowhere, and then the chamber opened around her. She stood in a stone corridor lit by torches that didn't even flicker. The air smelled faintly of warm bread, which made her stomach growl at the worst possible moment. The hallway stretched ahead and behind, but behind her, there was no archway now, just solid stone. The cat sat to her left, calm as if it had been born in a dungeon. It flicked one ear, unimpressed by the architecture. Lillian took a step forward. A translucent window snapped into view in front of her face, hovering like a sheet of glass. It was so sudden she nearly headbutted it. Name, Lillian. Age, 10. Class, unassigned. Title, none. HP, 30. STA, 30. MP, 0. Underneath, in smaller text, companion, ? Lillian squinted. "Excuse me, that's my cat." The cat stared at the wall. It was suddenly extremely interested in being anonymous. The window vanished. A new sound rolled through the corridor, deep, echoing, and strangely cheerful, like a voice that had practiced sounding dramatic in the mirror. "Welcome, aspirant," the voice boomed. Lillian jumped. Hi," the voice continued as if it hadn't heard her. "Trial 1, the Hall of Plain Hunger." A pause. Then, in a tone that sounded almost pleased with itself, "You begin with no power." Lillian's heart thumped. That seems mean. The cat's tail flicked once as if to say, "You wanted the classic experience." The corridor ahead clicked. A tile sank slightly under the weight of nothing at all, and Lillian froze. "Okay," she whispered. "There are traps." She stepped forward carefully, putting her foot down like she was testing ice on a pond. Nothing happened. She took another step. A few tiles ahead, something ticked, like a timer starting. The cat padded forward and tapped a tile with its paw. The tile dropped into darkness with a soft whoosh, revealing a deep pit. Lillian stared. Then she stared at the cat. "You," she whispered. "You just..." The cat sat back on its haunches, expression unreadable. Lillian's mouth opened and closed like a fish reconsidering its life choices. "Okay," she said finally, "so we're doing this together." The cat looked away, which was not a no. Lillian moved again, watching the floor more than the walls. The safe tiles formed a subtle pattern, a curve like slices ranged around the invisible center. She followed the arc, instinctively stepping in a gentle half-circle rather than straight ahead. The corridor seemed to approve. At the far end, 3 doors waited. Each door was carved with a different symbol: a clock, a flame, and an eye. Above the clock, letters formed into a glowing light. Wait for what you seek. Above the flame door, choose without certainty. Above the eye door, ask and be answered. Lillian stared at them. Okay, not creepy at all, she muttered. The cat sat beside her like a judge. Lillian approached the clock door first. She put her hand on it. Nothing happened. She waited. 10 seconds passed, then 20. Her patience started to squeak like a cheap chair. Then the door warmed under her palm and swung open by itself. She blinked. Oh. The cat blinked back as if to say, yes, waiting is sometimes a skill. Lillian stepped through. A second corridor, different traps. This one had dart holes in the wall shaped like tiny mouths. Great, Lillian said. The walls look hungry. She didn't get far before a dart snapped past her ear and thunked into the stone with a note attached. It read, "Try again." Lillian flinched and then let out her breath. Okay, she whispered. It must not be about speed, maybe a pattern? She watched the holes and listened, timed the clicks, and she moved when the corridor was quiet. Halfway through, the cat darted forward and stopped abruptly, tail puffing. A thin wire shimmered across the floor, so fine Lillian would have walked right into it. She swallowed hard. "Thank you," she whispered. The cat's ears twitched like it had heard something deeper than her voice. She stepped over the wire, and together they made it to the next door. The flame. Lillian hesitated. She had no certainty. She had nothing but wanting. She pushed and the door opened. Behind it, the corridor widened into a chamber with a stone table in the center. On the table sat a covered plate. Lillian's heart jumped. This is it, she breathed. Maybe the reward? She hurried forward and lifted the cover. The plate was empty. Lillian stared. Her throat tightened so quickly she was surprised it didn't make a sound. The cat hopped onto the table and sniffed the air like it wasn't fooled. Lillian's hand trembled. "No," she whispered. No, I did all that and it's..." A soft click came from somewhere above. Maybe a trap or a timer. She looked around wildly and then she noticed something she hadn't noticed before. The table wasn't set. No fork, no napkin, no cup, just a plate, empty, like the chamber was waiting for her to decide what kind of person she was. Lillian swallowed. Slowly, she looked around the room. There were shelves along the wall, simple utensils, folded cloths, a small pitcher, a cup. She approached them, hands still shaking, and began to set the table. Fork, knife, napkin. She placed the cup gently like it mattered. Then, without quite knowing why, she pulled out a second napkin and placed it across from her. For someone else. For the cat? For whoever might need it, I guess. She backed up and looked at the table like she'd built something fragile and real. And then the air behind her shimmered. A new plate appeared. But this time, it wasn't empty. It held a plain cheese pizza, steaming and golden, cut into perfect slices. Lillian's breath caught. The cat's tail flicked once like it was mildly satisfied with the universe, and the booming voice returned, sounding pleased like a teacher who had pretended to care. "Consume." Lillian sat. She took a slice with both hands because it suddenly felt ceremonial, and bit. It tasted like the best simple thing she'd ever had, warm and steady and honest. The moment she swallowed, heat spread through her chest like a light turning on. A glassy window snapped into the air, and the voice boomed exactly as promised. "Congratulations! You have unlocked mana. Mana points from 0 to 25. New skill, telekinesis, level 1. Lillian's eyes went wide. The cat looked at her, and for the briefest second, Lillian could have sworn its gaze said, "Now we begin." Lillian sat still for 3 whole seconds after the system message, mostly because she was afraid moving too suddenly would make the magic fall out of her, like loose change. Then she lifted one finger, pointed it at the empty cup across from her, and thought very hard about up. The cup trembled, slid a millimeter, and toppled over with a dramatic little clink, like it had been waiting its whole life to be enchanted. Lillian blinked. Okay, not elegant yet. The cat hopped off the table and strolled around the chamber as if it were inspecting it. It paused at a closet door, tapped it once with a paw, and sat. Lillian opened it. Inside was a broom. Not a fancy one, not a glowing legendary artifact, just a broom with straw bristles, a wooden handle, the kind that would normally be used to sweep up crumbs you definitely didn't eat in the kitchen. Lillian stared at it. The system window popped up as if it had been waiting for this moment too. "Congratulations! You have discovered a classic conduit. New technique unlocked. Broom riding." Lillian's grin arrived before her common sense. Yes, absolutely yes. The cat looked at her like she'd just announced she was going to ride a shopping cart down a hill. Lillian grabbed the broom, straddled it like she'd seen in about 100 storybooks, and whispered, "Okay, magic, please don't embarrass me in front of the cat." She focused her telekinesis the way it felt like it should work, like a hand made of thought reaching out and holding the broom from the inside. The broom jerked upwards with her on it. Lillian squeaked, and the broom spun. Lillian squeaked louder. Then she was hovering, wobbling a foot off the ground like a baby bird trying to fly. The cat hopped onto the broom behind her, settled itself with an unearned confidence of someone who had never once tried something for the first time, and gave a tiny, unimpressed meow. The broom immediately steadied. "Oh, so you're the ballast. Good to know," she said, looking at the cat. The chamber corridor ahead creaked open, stone sliding aside to reveal a short passage and a circular room with a faint shimmer in the air. An exit. Lillian took one breath, squeezed the broom, and guided it forward. To her shock, it obeyed. Not perfectly, of course, it almost bumped into the wall, but it obeyed and she slowly figured it out. The shimmering doorway swallowed them, and with a stomach tilt and a blink, they were back in the town square. Sunlight, voices, the fountain, Ms. Laurie's clipboard, everything normal again, except Lillian's heart was thudding and she was in fact hovering on a broom. She tried her best to look casual. "Hi," she said. A snappy window flashed in her vision. Congratulations! Trial 1 complete. Rewards secured. Pathways unlocked. The town erupted into the kind of polite cheering adults did when they were trying not to show how relieved they were that you hadn't been eaten by a hallway. Lillian landed with only a small stumble, and the cat jumped off. Lillian's mother gave her a very tight hug. Her dad's eyes shone. "You did it!" Lillian nodded, breathless. "I did." Then she looked down at her hands, at the broom, at the cat, and she realized something quietly terrifying. The first chamber had been in town, but the next ones wouldn't be. Lillian would have to leave town. She would have to find the other chambers and potentially unlock new and wonderful powers. But it was starting to get late, so that would have to be a story for another time, for another day. Lillian hopped back on her broom. The cat jumped on the back of it, and she willed the thing high up into the air, then blasted back off towards her house. Her parents followed behind on foot, so Lillian made it back first. She put the broom up against the door, ran inside, and went straight to her bedroom. She laid down on the bed, staring up at the ceiling, hardly able to believe that she'd just gotten magical powers. She was a witch. A witch, turned into a witch by pizza. Did that make her a pizza witch? She did love pizza after all. She closed her eyes and just tried her best to focus on her breath. Each time a new thought came, she did her best to let it go and bring her focus back. With each breath, her muscles relaxed a little bit more. Her arms and legs sank down into the bed. Her shoulders sank down into the bed. Her head rested on the pillow, and even her face relaxed into a nice sort of half smile. And happily, Lillian just laid there, dreaming of flying around the world on her broom, of potentially unlocking new and interesting powers, and, of course, pizza. She thought about pizza a lot. Good night, everyone.